Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans. The date is Friday the 10th of October, the time is 3 p.m. and we're about halfway through the 2025 trade period. Now at the time of recording, all of this information is the latest, most up-to-date information surrounding North Melbourne and the 2025 trade period. Now a lot can change between now and me posting this video, a lot can change between now and you guys watching it. So at the time of recording, keep that in mind. This is the latest information we have on hand. Let's jump straight into it. I'm going to start in our own backyard, and we have a big update on the situation surrounding Captain Jai Simpkin and his future at North Melbourne in 2026 and beyond. Last night, Thursday night, reports emerged firstly from Mark McGowan at The Age and then other outlets as follows: that Collingwood could be interested in securing the services of Jai in 2026. Now, they were keen on Clayton Oliver and apparently had made a play to bring him over to the Pies, but he has become a GWS player. I believe it was this morning or recently. So they've now turned their attention to Jai. What will it take to get this deal done? I don't know if there's a world where the two clubs can find a happy medium. That is the feeling shared by Tom Morris. He spoke on radio this morning, and this is what he had to say about the news.
Yes, Collingwood has some interest. Jai Simpkin's overseas. I can't see a world where Collingwood pay Jai Simpkin's full salary. I also can't see a world where Collingwood give up a first rounder for Jai Simpkin. Now, Jai Simpkin as a player might not be worth a first rounder, but his status at North Melbourne, a two-time best and fairest, a contracted captain, probably means that North would ask for a first rounder. And the other element here is North don't need the money off the books. They don't need a salary cap dump. So,
but Jai's not. I mean, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that Jai Simpkin wasn't happy with the position he was playing.
No, he's not.
One or more midfield time. So he's agitated for some sort of discussion to get out of there.
Yes.
And when a player's agitated, it's interesting what clubs do.
It's amazing how much we've made of the merit discussion trying to get out. And he's captain, and now Jai Simpkin's trying to get out as well, and he's also trying to get out.
I really like that the club is holding firm in this situation, and I think whatever you think of Jai as a person or a player after this news has kind of come out, you guys can have your own opinions here. But what North Melbourne see and value Jai Simpkin as a player and as a figure at this football club needs to be reflected in an offer made by an opposition club. Now, I don't think personally a first round pick is going to get this done. North aren't looking for a salary cap dump. Like, we've got plenty of room in the salary cap to pay Jai the reported $1 million a year contract that he's on. But the reality is it is a dual best and fairest winner. He's the captain of this football club, and we believe that there is a spot for him in the best 23. Where both parties disagree is what that position is. For North, it's on the wing, and I said this in my video on Monday. I think Jai's 2 games on the wing in rounds 23 and 24 this season were 2 of the best, if not the best, wing games I've seen from anyone in that position at North Melbourne in season 2025. But in Jai's eyes and mind, he's better in the midfield, in the middle of the ground, and that's where this entire narrative has come from. Now, we don't know what Collingwood are going to be prepared to part with. I personally think it's got to be more than a first round pick. This is a very diluted draft. We've also made it very clear in our actions last season that we are almost ready to go. We have pretty much all the pieces of the puzzle put together, and now we're ready to just get some experience into this list, curate the best list of those players we currently have in our backyard, and then make a push up the ladder by trading away our future first round pick last year to secure Matt Whitlock. We got 12 months into him. We know he's going to be a great player for us moving forward. So what exactly can Collingwood offer us, and what gaps do we think we need to fill where we can meet somewhere in the middle? The couple of things I'd probably be looking at from a Collingwood perspective, and I don't think they would part with either of these players. So this is me just conspiring and giving an example of what I would be looking for if we were to go to trade with Collingwood. A general defender, maybe not a key position defender. Brady has made it quite clear that he is not in the market for a key defender, surprisingly, and doesn't think that's a necessity for us. So maybe a general defender. Now, we didn't secure Braden Maynard. We had approached him with a deal during the year. He turned his back on it. He re-signed with Collingwood. Isaac Quaynor, I think, has had a great season. I think he'd be someone I'd love to bring into North Melbourne. I think he'd be a really, really great addition to our backline. Can't imagine a world where Collingwood part with him, but that's the kind of defender I would be looking at from Collingwood. The other one I'd be looking at is someone like a Beau McQuarrie. He's a big-bodied midfielder, which is similar to Marcus Windhager, and he's the kind of player we were hoping to bring into our midfield mix. So those are the kinds of players I'd be looking to secure from Collingwood. I don't see a world where either of them leave Collingwood, to be honest. However, crazier things have happened. So I think it's one to watch. My gut tells me Jai will be at North Melbourne next season. The only thing that makes me really disappointed about this whole situation is we still actually haven't heard from Jai. I don't begrudge him, actually, for wanting a trade. If he thinks that his best football is in the midfield and he wants to move on and try and find a midfield spot for himself in 2026, I don't actually have an issue with that. He's overseas at the moment, but at least give a statement through your manager. Like, we haven't really heard anything from Jai's camp. This has all been rumours, and the only people that have really spoken to the rumours outside of the media is Harry Sheasel and Nick Larkey. Each of them did it when they were asked by media. Harry did it on his segment with Dwayne. Nick Larkey, it was on Channel 7 News a couple of weeks ago, and his thoughts about it, and then Brady this week through Trade Radio. We haven't heard anything else. It looks more likely than not that Jai is going to be at North Melbourne next season. And right now, you're actually just hanging fans out to dry. I think he's losing fans. The longer this drags on, where nothing comes from him, the worse it's probably going to be when he comes back from holidays and when he returns, more than likely not, to Arden Street next year. Just come out and say, this is where I'm at. I love this football club, and I'm more than happy to sort of come back and whatever the statement says, just say something. I think the silence is quite deafening. I found the silence really deafening between the news initially breaking and the start of this week, where Brady Rawlings actually did address the rumours and address the news. So that's been the one disappointing thing for me and from Jai's camp. And I think that's fracturing a relationship where it doesn't actually need to be fractured that way. I think if he was just honest about it, and if he owned it, and if he still expressed his love and gratitude for the club and for the fans, and happy to remain at North Melbourne should this not go through next season, that's kind of all for me anyway. As a supporter, I would really want. I've said a few times, and I'll say it again, there's no way he comes back as captain. I think the club just have to stand him down. If the players vote him in again to captain next season, the club's got to intervene. I can't support him as a captain. Can I support him as a footballer in our system? Yes. Can I support him in a position on the wing? Yes, absolutely. All of those things, I do still think there is a role for him in our best 23, but not as captain, not as a leader of this football club. And I think despite him being overseas, he would know exactly what is going on back home. And I think if it's not him, then his management should have come out already, and they should come out at some point, depending on how these rumours go, and just give us a statement, because the longer the silence goes on from him, the longer this relationship between the fans and the club and Jai becomes quite fractured. And I think you need to have the trust, and you need to have your supporters on board with the direction this club is going in. And right now, if he does come back to North Melbourne and is on this list in 2026, which I've said, I think it's more likely than not, fans are not going to trust him. He's going to be on the wrong side of the supporter base. And you know what? That doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It just makes things hard, and it makes things complicated moving forward, because the fans are the lifeblood of this football club, and we are the ones who are showing up week in, week out, and we're showing our support and we're showing our faith in the football club, and we want to know that is reciprocated. So that for me is probably the only thing in this situation currently as it stands that has left me feeling a little bit uneasy. But we've still got about 5 days to go in this trade period, and as we all know, anything can happen between now and Wednesday night. Let's move on from Jai and look at a potential new recruit at North Melbourne. Everyone knows that St Kilda has been pursuing GWS defender Leek for the better part of 18 months. It was so obvious, and it was the worst kept secret in the AFL. Leek actually requested a trade to St Kilda about 2 days after the Giants lost their elimination final to Hawthorn earlier this year. The St Kilda Football Club has now done a backflip, and in the past 48 hours have actually withdrawn their pursuit of Aaliyah, who supposedly was left in tears when he found out that St Kilda had gone cold. Details have sort of emerged that St Kilda were offering a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027 to the Giants for Leek, but they were expecting a future second-round pick to come with him in return. So essentially, you're looking at Leek for a future third-round pick, and St Kilda said that the Giants were too difficult to deal with because they wouldn't adhere to the requests that they had. And so they've pulled out. They're happy with Jack Silvani, and it looks like that's the direction that they're going to go in. So it's now left Leek potentially in search of a new home. Brady Rawlings was asked about this on Trade Radio this afternoon, and this is what he had to say.
So yeah, the IMAR Insurance text line is almost broken by the amount of people wondering if North have an interest in Leek after the last 24 hours. Is it a chance for Leek to be on the radar for the Roos?
Yeah, well, it's one that's obviously caught a fair few clubs by surprise. We've followed We've followed Leek since he played at Central Districts, obviously in the sample, and followed his career at the Giants, and we've always admired him as a player. But given he was committed to St Kilda, we hadn't really thought too much of it. So now that that's changed, I'm sure there's a few clubs that are probably considering him.
Have you spoken to his manager?
I have, yeah. I've been in touch with his manager about a few things. So, no doubt he's pretty disappointed, the manager, that he's had something teed up and now it's no longer there. So he's clearly trying to find Leek a new home, or whether he stays at the Giants.
So for those of you who don't know much about Leek, he is a defender, as I said, from the GWS Giants, 194 centimetres. He was taken with pick 15 in the 2021 National Draft. He's only played 18 games over his, 4-year career. He did make his debut only in round 20 in 2022. So call it a 3 and a bit year career. Now, we were really, really hot on Jai Sarong, and it was believed that he was on his way to North Melbourne for about 2 weeks, and then in the 11th hour, the night before the trade period started, requested a trade to Sydney. So after that happened, Brady came out and addressed the press on the first day of trade period, saying we back in our key defenders and we won't be pursuing any defenders. Clearly, things have changed a little bit with Leek now becoming available. I think he would be a good acquisition, but there's no guarantee this will work. And I think it's a gamble should we bring him in. And I don't think he is worth anything more than a future second round pick, or potentially a second round pick in this draft. The next few years, as we know, quite diluted. We don't have picks until the mid-20s at the moment in this current draft. And then I don't know what's going to happen in terms of our draft capital in the following years to come. He's still very raw. He still makes a lot of mistakes. And I think the potential is great, but I don't think this is a sure thing to make our backline any better than it already is. And if this is one that we can't get done, I'm not going to be sitting here as bitterly disappointed as I probably am with the Jai Sarong situation. Now, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of North fans from the outer who think this is a must-do, and I do think that we do need to strike while the iron is hot, and I do think we need to make the call and see if there is a good deal we can agree to. But I don't think that Leek coming to North Melbourne guarantees our backline to get any better necessarily. I think it can. I think it has the potential to get better, and I think what he could be as a player is great, but I don't think it's a sure thing. I believe there has been some trouble with injury potentially as well over the last few years. We already know the likes of a Charlie Comben, Aidan Core, and Griffin Logue have all had their injury problems over the past 18 to 24 months, and I spoke about Griffin Logue in my video on Monday as well. I think Griffin Logue's ceiling when fit and at his best is probably better than and Jai Sarong, probably better than Leek Aaliyah as well. And I don't think North fans can necessarily deny that. We all know that his 2023 season prior to doing his ACL was pretty superb. And if we can refine that Griffin Logue, I think that's going to service us better in the medium to long term, potentially, than taking the risk on someone like a Leek Aaliyah. In terms of a contract size, I don't think that's a concern for North, and I don't want this to get twisted. I think he would be a great acquisition if we can get him for the right price in terms of a trade, but in terms of hedging all of our bets on him, in terms of him being the savior and being the answer, I just think this is a gamble, and I think this is something that could really work in our favor rather than something that is a sure thing. I would love us to have a crack. I think we do need to speak with his management. I think we do need to make the inquiries. It would be just ignorant of us to let this one opportunity go by. It looks like he is really keen to move. And while the Giants have said that they're happy to welcome him back and there's always a spot and a home for him at the Giants, I think we really could use someone like him should we be able to get the best out of him. So definitely one to watch over the next few days, the Leek Aaliyah situation. I think if we can find a sweet spot in a deal with the Giants, it's definitely something that I would look at doing, and I think it's something that really could add a great element to our backline in 2026. In between those two key pieces of news, there have been a few little tidbits floating around the joint. The other couple of things you might have missed out on is Jordon Butts, the Adelaide defender, is looking increasingly likely to stay at the Crows in 2026 and beyond. We have been linked to him in the month or so leading up to the 2025 trade period, but given how quickly Adelaide's defense fell apart in the final series, it doesn't surprise me at all. They want to hang on to him and see if he can find a way to reignite their backline going forward. The other one is Matt Rosa. He is the list boss at Essendon, reconfirmed that North will not be entertaining a trade for young gun Zane Duursma. That's something that Brady Rawlings was pretty emphatic about when he spoke to the media for the first time on Monday as well. So it looks like Zane will remain at North Melbourne in 2026. He's hoping we can give him an injury-free pre-season. We can get him out on the park. We can find his best position and find the best footy that we know that he can bring to the side. That is all the news around North Melbourne at this exact time, 3:30 it is now in Victoria. How are you guys feeling about all the bits and pieces? Where do you think North sit halfway through the trade period? Feel free to leave all of your thoughts in the comments below. We can continue chatting on socials as we all have been very actively as well. Kanga TV show across Instagram, Facebook, X, and on email. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next update. Go Roos.